Well, we don't talk a ton of politics on this show, but I wanted to address this at the end of the show tonight because I do think it's fascinating what's going on in AEW right now because we have talked a lot about our differences that we have in both professional wrestling between AEW and WWE. But the thing that's fascinating to me now is, with WWE, obviously, with, Paul Levesque being involved in the Trump administration and AEW and what's going on here with, with Brodie King and, what's going on with ICE in our country right now. I think the most fascinating thing is that, it's no secret that in general, professional wrestling fans do lean more left politically, and I think AEW does have an opportunity here to potentially do something with Brodie King, carry that momentum, and CNN, Fox, all these political outlets have picked up that these ICE chants are happening for AEW. And what I wanted to say on this is, if AEW can legitimately do this right, and I'm not going to say have a storyline out of it, but maybe build Brodie King up and use, you know, these chants as something for good publicity for the company, it could bring AEW to new levels.
Yeah. Just to be clear, like Brodie wears a T-shirt to the ring typically that says F Ice, and those are the chants that follow him. I didn't think it would follow him to Grand Slam Australia for his world title match against MJF, but they did. From what I understand, that's why he wasn't on Dynamite this week, was because it wasn't Tony Khan's decision. It sounds like it was Warner Brothers' decision to do that.
No. Did you not see? Warner Brothers came out and Tony Khan came out, vehemently denied that story that was published. He was actually on a flight to Australia during Dynamite.
Okay, so I did not hear about this. So that's the problem when you have this type of story. You get mixed coverage about it, and you're not entirely sure what to believe. Like what you could be saying could be 100% right, but at the same time, the stories I read about Warner Brothers saying no, he can't be on TV could also be right. So
Warner Brothers issued a statement saying we absolutely did not factor into that decision. Anybody that says that is, quote, categorically wrong.
But again, like how am I supposed to believe that when,
because they don't put out that strong of a statement if that's the truth.
Do you get what I mean though?
Like, no, do I believe that they don't want this controversy to mix in with the Trump administration? Absolutely, I do. But no, I don't think Warner Brothers would tell Tony Khan, you can't have this guy in the program. Because if they were involved, you know what they tell him? Stop the gimmick. Because they wouldn't have allowed it in Australia either.
Yeah. And by the way, I thought he did a great job in his program with MJF.
Well, and now he's one of the hottest baby faces in the company. I mean, people are talking about AEW.
Yeah.
Because of this story. That's what I'm saying. They for all my shots and little digs I take it at AEW, I'm serious. Use this as momentum because I think this could be a big thing for AEW if they do it right. I think you could create a homegrown star. Forget the politics. Create a homegrown star that you arguably haven't had since MJF. During his heyday a couple years ago when he was the guy, he was the heel in the business. Some people could make the argument he still is the heel, but I'm talking about universally. Everybody was like, that guy's a star. That's why a lot of fans thought he could go to WWE because he was that big of a star. That's what AEW needs right now is they need a babyface good story like that because they haven't had that in a while.
No, they haven't. You're right. And Brodie very well could be that. It does concern me a little bit, like, because, the ICE stuff is a prominent part of America right now. Whether you view it as a positive or negative, I'm not going to get into all that. Because, again, this is a sports show, not a political show.
Absolutely. But as I said before, the other interesting aspect of it, there's no denying that the people that run WWE at the top lean one way politically, and wrestling fans in general lean the other way. And WWE is viewed as the evil empire for one of the reasons is political reasons. Saudi Arabia being in bed with the president. This means more almost than a wrestling storyline. It's just this is the reason why it started.
Yeah. And no, I understand what you're saying about Warner Brothers putting out that statement, which I haven't seen that, by the way. So I'll have to go find it.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
And I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying you're wrong about any of that, but it's just like we hear such mixed stories about this type of thing. Like what you're saying is Warner Brothers put out this statement, but I've also heard, that Warner Brothers said, no, don't put him on the show. Like, so I've heard such mixed things. It's hard to know what actually is the truth. And by no means am I saying that, like, Warner Brothers didn't put out a statement denying it.
So here it is right out Sean Redstaff. Warner Brothers Discovery did not have any involvement in Brodie King's upcoming AEW schedule. Any speculation of the contrary is categorically false. Brodie is scheduled to appear during the next AEW event, which will air this Saturday on TNT and HBO Max.
By the way, that turned out to be a great show. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it.
So, I mean, it's a very interesting thing, but again, it's going to be something that we have to follow. And in general, because, people are talking about the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards that came out were almost all won by AEW.
Yep, that is correct. By the way, I hated last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. That whole opening segment was just ridiculous. The Usos are just standing there for like 20 minutes. And then, I don't have an opening match. Let's do a 6-man tag. Okay.
Yeah, I did read something on the internet. It's a very interesting column. I should send it to you. It's about how the internet wrestling community and the live event crowd are very different when it comes to Jey Uso specifically.
By the way, how was Monday Night Raw? Because you went to last week's show, didn't you?
No, I did not.
Oh, remember, that's right.
We decided that, to be honest with you, because we spent so much money because TKO is jacking up all their ticket prices, which is why nobody can afford to go to WrestleMania anymore, because the difference between WrestleMania 40 and WrestleMania 42 tickets are $400 freaking dollars in the same section. We just skipped that past Monday on Raw.
By the way, I will tell you this now. If Cody Rhodes wins the Elimination Chamber, all my excitement for WrestleMania 42, gone.
Well, that's a great transition because we're going to talk about the Elimination Chamber, I'm sure of it, on next week's show.